My question is fiscal. With 450 million FEMA dollars being reallocated to open Alligator Alcatraz and 600 million taxpayer FEMA dollars being used to now open more concentration camps and ICE burning through $8.4 million a day to illegally detain people, how much does it cost for fascism? How much do the taxpayers have to pay for a fascist country?
Americans went to the polls in November, and they had a choice between a Democratic candidate that had an open border, no enforcement, fentanyl, drugs, human trafficking. And they had a choice between that and a candidate that said, close the border, get illegal immigrants out of our country, stop the fentanyl, stop the human trafficking, stop the drugs, stop the crime, stop the violence. That's what Americans voted for. Americans voted for a border that is secure. And I support the president enforcing our immigration laws, which, by the way, were written by Congress.
I want to ask, why does it seem like when you make your voting decisions, they're based on capital rather than the working class? Billionaires and corporations got their tax issues enshrined into law forever, but the working class gets a no tax on tips or overtime that only applies to some of us, and now we wind up in a situation where we are.
Funded by wicked. Funded by the wicked billionaires.
With all due respect, sir, the Republican Party now more than ever represents the heart and soul of the working class. These are the other important parts of the One Big Beautiful Bill. Next slide, please.
Tensions erupting at a lawmakers' town hall. With the House in summer recess, many members are back home meeting with constituents, and for Nebraska Republican Mike Flood, things got a little bit testy last night, early and often, as he defended President Trump's policies and was confronted on issues from the economy to Jeffrey Epstein. Listen.
Why are you covering up the Epstein files?
At the next pro forma session of the Congress, you'll find my name as a sponsor on a resolution from the House Rules Committee to release the Epstein files to protect the victims and not re-victimize them again. I am for the release of those records.
With us now, CNN political commentator Paul Begala and Brian Lanza, the former deputy communications director for the Trump 2016 campaign. Paul, what do you see in that town hall?
And I see, remember last week there was a terrible earthquake off the coast of Russia, and then it took a long, long time before tsunami waves hit. Unfortunately, I don't think anybody was hurt. This is an earthquake. This is coming. The Republicans are looking at a wave election against them. This is what happened the last time. 2017, they cut taxes for the rich and just tried to cut Obamacare, to end Obamacare, and they failed. They lost 41 House seats in the next election. This combination, this bill, where they cut taxes for the rich, exploded the debt, and cut health care for working people, that's not going to fly, man. That's just not. We're both 454 days away. It's a long time. But I'm telling you, these people who think, oh, it's 4 or 5 seats here, it's going to be a 40-seat landslide, and the Republicans in the Congress, I think, know it.
All right, let me play a little bit more, Brian, of this town hall for you from Mike Flood in Nebraska's 1st Congressional District.
The Republican Party now more than ever represents the heart and soul of the working class.
So, Brian, this is a Trump plus 13 district, I think. What is that energy there? And granted, this may have been a more liberal audience that showed up, but what does that energy tell you?
Yeah, listen, that energy tells you that Republicans need to be prepared for the election in November of next year, and they have a messaging war that they need to win. What they need to say about the Trump's, one big beautiful bill was that had that not passed, that would have been a tax increase on millions of Americans. Listen, there's a lot of good things in the one big beautiful bill, and there's a lot of bad things that the Democrats can use. The bottom line is our message needs to be louder, our message needs to be clearer, and our message needs to point to the pocketbooks to say, if we didn't do this, this is how much taxes would have been raised. And the fact is President Trump did not want taxes raised on the average worker, and that's why they passed the one big beautiful bill.
One question I have, and I think we have a little bit of a sound from a Republican town hall that took place yesterday. Mike Flood, a Republican from Nebraska in a +13 Trump district there. I just want to play a little bit of sound when he talked about what Republicans stand for, and you can hear the response.
The Republican Party, now more than ever, represents the heart and soul of the working class.
So there were a lot of boos there in a Trump +13 district, Michael. I guess my question is, with redistricting happening here, even if the Republicans can pick up 5 seats in Texas, what do you think the impact will be on the election? What would be the most animating issues heading into 2026? I know we've got a year to go, but what are you seeing and hearing?
The economy, I think, is always, we'll go back to where we were just a few minutes ago. I think first and foremost, I buy into what James Carville has always said. I think in many respects, it'll be a referendum on President Trump, both good and bad, good in red states, bad in blue states. Looking at the historical trends, it's the party that's outside of power. That would be the Democratic Party that would seem to have an advantage, which is the explanation as to why, under pressure from President Trump, Governor Abbott is trying to do what he's doing in Texas. Bottom line, advantage Democrats as things stand now, unless this move can make up a margin.
Thank you very much, and have a safe drive home.
I mean, between vote him out and tax the rich were really the refrains that he was hearing there.
Yeah, we actually have a notice reporter at that town hall earlier who was sending in some updates.
And what they said?
And they said that people, first of all, that it was insanely packed, that it was incredibly raucous, and that people were asking not just why did you cut Medicaid or why are you cutting Social Security benefits, but basically likening him to being a fascist. And Mike Flood responded that a fascist wouldn't hold a town hall, basically with all of you people shouting at me. And so it's an incredibly, it's kind of a good response, but it's an incredibly, I think, furious kind of environment that Republicans are in, and that's kind of the reason why you're not seeing them hold a lot of town halls. Now, town halls to kind of describe the bill is something that the White House would like potentially more Republicans to do, but we'll see if Republicans do it after we saw basically that reception. I think one thing is interesting that Republicans will have to ask is whether or not the president is giving Republicans enough cover to go out there and tout this bill that we know is relatively unpopular, at least when you call it the one big beautiful bill.